Since his first Robben Island crossing at 17, Lewis has swum at the North Pole, the Antarctic, in a lake on Mount Everest, the entire length of the River Thames in the UK, and was the first person to swim across the 140-kilometre width of the Maldives. Meeting him at Boulders Beach, Simonstown, if Jeannie was to understand how or why he does it, she'd have to get her feet wet.
Whoa. Sorry. I'm not ready yet.
There are two ways of getting into cold water. There's a painful way, and then there's a really painful way. Which one do you want?
Just the painful. Or the not painful at all. They're quite pleasant, actually.
If you go in there really, really slowly, tiptoey, it's agony. But if you really rush in there, it's sort of less agony.
1, 2, 3, go!
Lewis has an ability to subconsciously push his core body temperature up by nearly 2 degrees before entering the water. Professor Tim Noakes calls it anticipatory thermogenesis, and it's not been noted in any other human, unfortunately for Jeannie.
I think it's cold. Not entirely certain because I'm completely numb. How do you do that? No wonder they call you the human polar bear.
I absolutely love it in there. It feels like home. So this water is about 16 degrees. A normal indoor swimming pool is 27. Durban on a nice warm summer's day is about 24. But then you go down into the Arctic and the water sometimes is below 0. So the North Pole is minus 1.7. So it's about 18 degrees colder than this water, which is it's another game altogether.
Take me through that moment, though, when you said to yourself, okay, I want to swim in the coldest waters in the world. Because that's not normal.
I remember actually telephoning my mother and saying to my mum, I want to go and do a swim across the North Pole. And there was this deathly silence on the other end of the phone. And then she says to me, Lewis, that's not a normal thing to do. It was a symbolic swim. You shouldn't be able to swim across the North Pole. I went there to show that you can do it, and it's because of climate change. So in the 2 preceding years, in 2005, 2006, 23% of the sea ice had melted away. So it was a symbolic swim to try and shake the pearls of world leaders to get them to understand what's happening in the Arctic. Because what's happening there will impact us all over the world.
Well, I agree with your mother. That is not normal. But your average person would have a heart attack in such cold water. So how do you mentally prepare for that and commit to it?
It's such a shock when you dive into the water. The water's absolutely freezing. Minus 1.7. I remember my goggles actually froze onto my face. I remember some water got stuck and it became ice cubes. I got the ice cubes out, I put the goggles back on. And then you're gasping for air. You just can barely breathe. It feels like Mike Tyson has come along and just given you a massive great punch in the chest. And you just got to try and calm down. You've got to try and relax. And you can't swim with thoughts of victory and defeat. As soon as you start feeling cold, you'll be out that water within seconds.
Raised here and in England, Lewis is as local as the African penguins at Sandcob, where he's helping develop a plan for reacting to future oil spills that may affect these birds.
So, Jeannie, the thing about penguins is each one of them has got a distinct personality. And you speak to the staff here and they know every single one of these. And these birds, they line up to be fed.
Why is it that you've decided to become their voice, so to speak?
Of all the animal species in the world, the penguin is just absolutely gorgeous. But the second reason is because they tell a story about the environment. There were between 3 or 4 million of these birds in 1900, and that number now is just 60,000.
Why?
It's 3 things. It's climate change, it's pollution, often oil pollution or plastic pollution, and then the last thing is overfishing.
So what is this place and what kind of an importance does it have for these little guys?
What's interesting about this place is that the biggest animal rescue ever done in history was done here. So back in 2000, a ship sank north of Cape Town called the Treasure, and she spilt oil everywhere. And they cleaned 20,000 penguins here. A group of volunteers, 12,000 people from around Cape Town came to clean those 20,000 penguins. And what they also did was another 20,000 were threatened. They picked them up, they shipped them all the way to the Eastern Cape and released them there so they wouldn't be in harm's way. And you know what the amazing thing was? They swam all the way back. But by the time they had arrived back here in Cape Town, the oil had dispersed and they were safe. And so this place here, it's looking after them, it's protecting them, and they've also got a small breeding program. That's also very much part of this operation here.
When this campaigner and Cambridge law graduate isn't swimming every ocean on the planet, here's his idea of downtime.
We've been so busy today, and you like this every day, so where do you find the time to write 2 books?
I separate out the day. In the morning, I love to swim. it just refreshes me for the whole day. In the afternoon, I love paddling. In the evening, that's when I do the writing.
How are the two books different?
The first book was called Achieving the Impossible. It's a story about my life and about the various swims. The second book, I got so much feedback, people saying, well, how do I achieve my impossible? So I wrote a book called 21 Yaks in a Speedo, How to Achieve Your Impossible. It's 21 short stories, each one about 5 minutes. And they're about vision, about dreaming, about preparing a team, and about fussbait, a little bit more fussbait, and all the things which you need to achieve your dreams in life. Enough talking now, let's go do some paddling. This is an awesome animal to go out to sea in.
Okay, I'll see you on the water. You can take that and I'll be on that boat.
No.
Yes, really.
Bigger craft would do well to give Lewis his surf ski right of way. He's both a maritime lawyer and former reservist in the elite British SAS regiment. So when the United Nations Environment Programme appointed him Patron of the Oceans, they meant business.
Are you tired yet?
Yeah, it's a bit choppy, but it's lovely out here. I just feel so at peace when I'm in the ocean.
So what's next for you, Mr. Pugh?
I'm going around the world shortly on a massive 3-year expedition where I'm campaigning for the biggest national parks in the world. You imagine national parks the size of Kruger or the size of Yellowstone. I want to see those in the middle of the ocean to protect penguins, to protect dolphins, to protect whales.
Bless you and enjoy your expedition. Bon voyage!
Bye, Jeannie!
Bye!
With the planet at an environmental crossroads, we'd do well to follow Lewis's lead.